Good day to you today. It is a Saturday where I'm at, and it's going to be a hot one. And God is going to be in my day, and I am looking forward to seeing what He's going to teach me today, especially in the book of Esther. Today we're going to look at Esther chapter 5 and chapter 6. And yesterday, as you remember, we left Esther, and she had just made the decision that she would go before King Xerxes and ask the favor of her uncle Mordecai, whether it meant death or whether it meant she was receiving the scepter and receiving his mercy. She was going to go whether it meant life or death. So she's made a commitment. Let's see what happens next. Esther chapter 5, verse 1. On the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his royal throne in the hall, facing the entrance. When he saw Queen Esther standing in the court, he was pleased with her and held out to her the gold scepter that was in his hand. So Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. It appears she has received mercy. She has received favor and not death. But let's find out. Verse 3, Then the king asked, What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given you. This king likes Esther. If it pleases the king, replied Esther, let the king, together with Haman, come today to a banquet I have prepared for him. Bring Haman at once, the king said, so that we may do what Esther has asked. So the king and Haman went to the banquet Esther had prepared. As they were drinking wine, the king again asked Esther, Now what is your petition? It will be given you. And what is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. Esther replied, My petition and my request is this. If the king regards me with favor, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, let the king and Haman come tomorrow to the banquet I will prepare for them. Then I will answer the king's question. Haman went out that day happy and in high spirits. But when he saw Mordecai at the king's gate, and observed that he neither rose nor showed fear in his presence, he was filled with rage against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman restrained himself and went home. Calling together his friends and Zeresh his wife, Haman boasted to them about his vast wealth, his many sons, and all the ways the king had honored him, and how he had elevated him above the other nobles and officials. And that's not all, Haman asked. I am the only person Queen Esther invited to accompany the king to the banquet she gave. And she has invited me along with the king tomorrow. But all this gives me no satisfaction as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate. His wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, Have a pole set up reaching to a height of 50 cubits, and ask the king in the morning to have Mordecai impaled on it. Then go with the king to the banquet and enjoy yourself. This suggestion delighted Haman, and he had the pole set up. That night the king could not sleep, so he ordered the book of the Chronicles, the record of his reign, to be brought in and read to him. I guess that put him to sleep. I don't know why he wanted to have a book read to him. It was found recorded there that Mordecai had exposed Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, who had conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. What honor and recognition has Mordecai received for this? The king asked. Nothing has been done for him, his attendants answered. The king said, Who is in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the palace to speak to the king about impaling Mordecai on the pole that he had set up for him. His attendants answered, Haman is standing in the court. Bring him in, the king ordered. When Haman entered, the king asked him, What should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Now Haman thought to himself, Who is there that the king would rather honor than me?" So he answered the king, "For the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe, and the king has worn it, that the king has worn, and a horse the king has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on its head. Then let the robe and the horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let them robe the man the king delights to honor, and lead him on the horse through the city streets, proclaiming before him, 'This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor.'" "Go at once," the king commanded Haman. "Get the robe and the horse, and do just as you have suggested for Mordecai, the Jew, who sits at the king's gate. Do not neglect anything you have recommended." Can you imagine how enraged and shocked Haman was? The man he wanted to kill, he has now been commanded to parade around the city on a horse with a royal crest, wearing one of the king's robes. Haman is now to honor the man who dishonored him, the man he wanted to kill. Oh my goodness, what is Haman going to do? Let's find out. Verse 11, "So Haman got the robe and the horse, and he robed Mordecai, and he led him on horseback through the city streets, proclaiming before him, 'This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor.' Afterward, Mordecai returned to the king's gate. But Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief, and told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had happened to him. His advisers and his wife Zeresh said to him, 'Since Mordecai, before whom your downfall has started, is of Jewish origin, you cannot stand against him. You will surely come to ruin.' While they were still talking with him, the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet that Esther had prepared." What a day for Haman. Oh my, I want to keep reading, but that's chapter 5 and that's chapter 6. Our days are full of surprises, aren't they? We never quite know what God is going to do from each sunrise to each sunset. I'm assuming the sun has risen while you're listening to this, and soon the sun will set. What has God surprised you with today? Give him glory. Thank him for the life that he's given to you today. God bless you, and see you tomorrow.